Yay!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home to our regional contest here at Golden Speakers location in Fairfield, Iowa. My name is Rhonda Whitaker. I will be your Sergeant at Arms today. We're going to start out right away with introducing our contest chair, Stephanie Chambers. Please help me warmly welcome.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be hosting this contest today. We'll be looking at table topics and the International Speech Contest. So I would like to now welcome I would first like to acknowledge that we have Don Wadley here today, and he's the District 19 Public Relations Officer.
Yay!
He will also be acting as Chief Judge today, so I'd like to introduce Don to explain what the judges will be doing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, everybody who's got a good crowd. As Chief Judge of this contest, I confirm that we have equal judging representation for the area. The judges, timers, and ballot counters have been briefed and are fully aware of their responsibilities. In addition, the contestants and the contest Sergeant at Arms have been for a briefing regarding the rules and the procedures. I ask the Chief Timer to please review the timing procedure for the international contest, which is going to be first, or is it the table topics? Table topics. Could you please review the procedures for table topics?
Timing will begin with the contestant's first definite verbal or nonverbal communication with the audience. This will usually be the first word uttered by the contestant, but would include any other communications such as sound effects, a staged act by another person, etc. Speech length is 2 minutes. A contestant will be disqualified for speaking less than a minute or more than 2 minutes, 30 seconds. The green light will be turned on at 1 minute, the yellow will be turned on at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and the red light will be turned on at 2 minutes and remain on until the speech ends. Any contestant is disqualified whose presentation is less than the minimum time or more than the maximum time, just noted. No signal shall be given to indicate that a presentation has gone into overtime. In the event of a technical failure, a contestant is allowed 30 extra seconds overtime before being disqualified. We also have these backup green, yellow, and red cards in case the timing lights fail.
Thank you. As Chief Judge, I remind everybody in the room that if it is necessary to leave for any reason, only do that during the 1 minute period following each contestant. The Sergeant at Arms will allow re-entry only during a subsequent 1 minute period. Additionally, there will be silence during that 1 minute. Please do not disturb the judge's deliberations and marking on the ballots. If anyone has any electronic equipment, such as pagers or cell phones, deactivate them. I left mine in the car, and I think that was a good thing for me to do, because I'm always forgetting it. There should be no disturbances during the contest. There should be no pictures taken during the contest except for the video that is provided here. Pictures may be taken during the interview session immediately following each contest. Any protests regarding originality or eligibility are limited to the judges and the contestants and shall be made to the contest chair or to me as Chief Judge prior to the announcement of the winners. For the table topics contest, which is going to be first, the contest chair will provide us this series the procedures of what, how those are to be followed. Any questions?
Can you have 2 minutes, please?
Yes, we'll make it. Okay, at this time, I'll welcome back our contest chair.
That little delay. So I'd now like to announce that for the table topics, we did a draw before we met this morning, and Sam Cragen is going to be the first contestant in the table topics contest, followed by Rahul Butts. So I'd like to ask the Sergeant of Arms to escort the table topics contestants out of the room. Released Rahul. So I'd like to welcome up Sam Cragen, our first contestant.
Welcome, Ms. Toastmasters. Thank you.
So I'll just read the question twice. If you were made the leader of this country tomorrow, if you were made the leader of this country tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do? If you were made the leader of this country tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do?
Ms. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. If I was the leader of this country tomorrow, where would I start? I think by cleaning house with all the corruption that's going on. First thing I'd probably do was be to meet with all the top leaders in the world to find out just what's going on with all these wars and everything in the other countries, and find out how to make sense out of all these things. Because I don't believe that people like you and I, the working people in each country, start the wars. I think the wars are all started by people that are in power, that want to make more money, that want to go to another country. And I think everything's either about oil or money or something involved with something like that in other countries, and that's why we fight. Because I don't think that there's any country that just wants to come over here and destroy us unless we do something to them first. So that's my opinion, and I'd like to start with that, and also I'd like to start with some of the laws that we have in this country that would be laws that would let people speak equally like they should in this country. There's too many people in this country today being discriminated against by talking about religious things in our schools and different things, and I think I would straighten that out. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Now take a minute and let the judges time. So number 2, Rahul Butts. I'll be reading the question out twice. If you were made the leader of this country tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do? If you were made the leader of this country tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do?
Good morning, friends. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, my name is Rahul Butts. I'm here today to tell you that the people of United States of America have decided to make me the president, the leader for the country. So bow down to me, I'm your next leader, and whatever I decide will be the rules that you'll have to abide by too. Well, that's for the joke side of things. Getting on to the more serious side of things. I'm not really sure what should be my first action as the leader of this country, if ever I become one. I feel that you people, if I ask, would give me a different set of task, assignment, based on your opinion. That should be the very first thing that the President of America should do in order to move ahead. One of the things could be related to the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, those things. Another thing could be to have a complete ban on GMOs. Another thing could be in the field of movies, entertainment. But something which would be really close to my heart would be a fair amount of representation of different cultures in the United States, because that's what United States of America has been, a country of immigrants, a country where people from different cultures come, live, and stay together happily in order to promote and progress this country. At times when I am from India, not United States, and I feel that I have to go through so many difficult things and different things that makes my life difficult here in this country, the very first thing I like to change is to make fair laws for immigration. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Now we'll take a minute of silence to let the judges look at the ballot counters, who also are timers today, to collect the ballots from the judges when they're ready. Are all the judges' ballots voted? You're set? Okay. Now, just while the ballot counters work out the winner of the Table Topics contest, I'd like to ask our Table Topics contestants to come forward while I ask them a few questions. So Rahul and
Thank you.
So just so everyone can get to know you a little better, I was wondering, Sam, if you could explain your hobby of treasure hunting.
I have many things that I do for treasure hunting. I hunt for coins. I hunt for buried treasure. I hunt for antiques, collectibles every day at the Goodwill, Salvation Army, and different resale stores. I also got into hunting for meteorites. So that's a full-time hobby in its own. Yeah.
Thank you, that's interesting.
Thank
We might have a little bit more time later. But I'd like to ask you, Rahul, I noticed that you played cricket, which some people here aren't as familiar with, so I just wondered if you could briefly explain the rules of cricket.
Well, explaining cricket is a good thing. Cricket is just like baseball, except for the fact that instead of having 4 bases, you have 2. And a home run can be in 2 varieties. You score either 4 runs or a 6. So that's pretty much for explaining the rules of cricket. But if at all anybody would want to know in detail and in reality, please join us this afternoon at 2 o'clock at the M.U.M. Rec Center, where we'll be playing cricket, a game of cricket. You're all welcome.
I know I've been asked to play at times by people because I'm from Australia and we play cricket, but unfortunately I'm not a real cricket fan, so I haven't been able to do that.
Cricket is the second most popular game in the world, if you know.
What's
Soccer.
Real football.
So Sam, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your art and poetry hobbies.
I've been writing poetry since 2000. I've won several awards. I'm also third place winner in Lewistown, Illinois in the Edgar Lee Masters Poetry Contest. I've been published in Lyrical, Iowa, and I'm published in a local magazine in Burlington, Iowa. I also do art and poetry together. Take a poem and I take a picture, photograph, and then I write poetry about the photograph on the photograph. That's kind of another full-time passion that I have.
That sounds interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In terms of software, I know you're in computer programming. What would you like to do with that someday?
One of the things that I really do with software is to help me in work. That's what softwares are basically for. I'm current Vice President of Education here at Golden Speakers Toastmasters. And what I do, which I find really fun, is use softwares and helping me generate metrics. You know, when you have a lot of members in your club and you have to assign them different roles, it can be a mind-numbing job. What I do is I use a software, give that a name, randomly generate, draws the lot, whatever role comes up, I assign it to that person. So softwares basically should be for people to, you know, make their life easier. And that's what I would like to use them for.
That sounds interesting. Maybe we could provide the other other clubs with that software, because it could be very useful amongst all the Toastmasters. So I think we have another few minutes to kill. So,
Body break.
oh, we can have a 5-minute break for everyone to have a 5-minute break. So we'll do that now, and afterwards we should know the results.
No, I can't.
I'm scared of you now.
Oh, boy.
I wish I could make the Dirty Rotten Scoundrel like me.
I'd like to welcome you back. We're now ready for the International Speech Contest. For this contest, all the contestants may remain in the room. Earlier, the contestants drew lots to determine the speaking order. The order of the contestants will be: our first speaker is Darlene Martin, our second speaker is Wayne Ryan, and our third speaker is Seth Braun. So I'd like the Chief Judge to review the rules regarding the International Speech Contest.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. The rules are essentially the same. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that we do have equal representation from all the clubs involved. And on the judging panel, judges and timers and ballot counters have been briefed. Chief Timer, could you review the procedures and the light and test the lights?
On the International Speech Contest, speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. A speaker will be disqualified if he or she speaks under 4 minutes, 30 seconds, or more than 7 minutes, 30 seconds. The green signal will be displayed at 5 minutes and remain on until the amber signal is displayed at 6 minutes. And the amber will remain on until the red signal is displayed at 7 minutes, and the red light will remain on until speech ends. Any contestant is disqualified whose presentation time is less than the minimum time or more than the maximum time just given. No signal will be given to indicate that a presentation has gone into overtime. In the event of technical failure of the lights, a contestant is allowed 30 seconds extra before overtime is, before being disqualified. And if we have a problem with the lights, why then I will, or the chief timer will pick up the cards and give, the signal with the yellow and red and green card at the appropriate times to compensate for the problem. Mr. Chief Judge.
Thank you, timer. As before, if anyone has any electronic equipment, please turn it off or deactivate it. No disturbances during the presentations. And again, no pictures will be taken except by the video. Protests regarding originality or eligibility are, as I said before, limited to the judges and the contestants and shall be made to either the contest chair or myself as chief judge. As the contest chair said, all contestants may remain in the room, but if they choose to remain outside the room, the sergeant at arms will bring them back when it is their turn to speak. Any questions? Madam Contest Chair.
I'd now like to welcome our first contestant, contestant number 1, Darlene Martin. Darlene's title of her speech is Growing in Relationships. Growing in Relationships, Darlene Martin.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, honored and distinguished guests, and viewers at home. How many of you are in a relationship or have been in a relationship? That about covers us all. How many of you have been triggered or had someone push your buttons? I have. Or how many of you have been the one that pushed someone's buttons? Maybe unknowingly, unconsciously. This morning, I'm going to share with you 3 things that I learned from a book I recently read called Love and Awakening by John Wellwood. One thing John talks about, as we come into the world, we're open, we're vulnerable, we're open-hearted, open-handed, we have a soft spot. But we grow and things happen, we get hurt, we flinch. And if we're really hurt, we contract into a fist. So how do we get back to the open-handed part again? Open-hearted. I'm going to share with you 3 things that I learned from John's book. 1, feel your feelings all the way through. You can't go over it, you can't go under it, you've got to go through it. 2, own and take responsibility for your feelings. I feel hurt. I feel sad. Not you made me angry, you hurt me. Own and take responsibility for your own feelings. Number 3, speak your truth. We all impact each other. So we have to let the other know the impact that they had on us. I'm going to share with you a recent story that happened for me. Now, since I read this book, it's been my intention, when I am contracted, to as quickly as possible go back to my open-hearted, vulnerable, soft space. Well, the universe is giving me all these opportunities now. It's amazing. So I'm at my office at work. I'm in sales. It's been slow. I get a sale, $2,000 or $3,000 sale. I'm so excited. I go running over to my manager's office. I got a sale. He looks up for a moment or two, goes right back to his computer, asks me a question. I'm like, hello? I can just feel the anger and the rage just building up inside of me. I stay there for like another 30 seconds, turn on my heels, go back over to my office. I'm fuming, I'm furious, my butt is blood is boiling. Ah! So I feel my anger. I'm feeling it, believe me. What's underneath the anger is hurt. Why am I hurt? I'm hurt because I was enthusiastic. I was joyful. I went over and I felt like I got squashed. I got squished. I feel deflated now. I let myself feel what it feels like to feel crushed. What it feels like to feel deflated. After about 15 minutes, I can feel it's subsiding. It's not all gone, but it's subsiding. Okay, do I tell the other the impact that they had on me? Do I tell them? Do I tell them? Do I tell them? Do I tell them? Got this battle going on inside my mind. This is my manager. This is a little uncomfortable. It's a little awkward. I decide I need to do it for me, for myself, to speak my truth. And also to let the other know the impact that they're having on me. Go back over to my manager's office. Knock on the door. He starts to say something like, whoa, whoa, hold on. I'm here for a reason. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I shared with you my sale. I need to feel that you're on my team, that you're with me, that you're excited when I have a sale. I felt like I got a bucket of cold water dumped on my head, and I'm sitting over in my office fuming and furious thinking I'm sure as hell not going to come back over here and share another sale with you when I have one. He apologized and said, I'm sorry. I could feel myself relaxing more. I go back over to my office. It wasn't totally gone, but within, I'd say, about 5 minutes, I could feel myself back in that more open space. About 15 minutes later, there's a knock on my door. It's my manager. He comes in. He said, you know, I'm really sorry, Darlene. I want to be supportive. I am happy when you get a sale. I was focused on something else. I was distracted. But I am happy when you get a sale. I am on your team. I said, thank you for saying that. That was the icing on the cake. I didn't expect that at all. So I went over open-handed with my enthusiasm, with my joy. I came back with a fist contracted, very upset. I felt my feelings, and I wasn't totally open when I walked back over again, but enough that I could have a conversation with him and let him know how I felt. And by the end of it, I was back into my open, soft, vulnerable, open-hearted space again. So I felt my feelings, number one. Number two, I took ownership for them and responsibility for them. And number three, I spoke my truth and let another know the impact that it had on me. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. It was uncomfortable. It was awkward. I was sweating a little bit. But I'm really glad that I did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene. I'd now like to call up, we'll take a minute for the judges to deliberate. I'd now like to ask our second contestant to come forward. Our second contestant is Wayne Ryan. Wayne Ryan. The title of Wayne's speech is A Piano Named Rose. A Piano Named Rose, Wayne Ryan.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. It's great to be with you here to tell you about a piano named Rose. It was 1878 in New York City. Oh, Brandon's from here. And on the floor of Steinway and Sons, there were several pianos being built. One was a grand piano. Other pianos were being made, and it takes almost a year to put together a grand piano, because cast iron thing that all the strings, 230 or better strings, the keys, the movement, and finally that piano was created. And it was sent back here to Burlington, Iowa, 50 miles down the road here. And it was put in a music store. And there was a wealthy gentleman who had a store, and he saw that piano. And when he saw that piano, he fell in love with it, because he had a grand home. He had lots of money. And he paid almost $1,000 to have that piano put in his brick stone house that was one of the best in the city, to sit in the living room. $1,000 could buy a two-story home at that time. But that piano remained in his home, and it became the center of that home, the center of entertainment, the center of concerts, of dancing, of friends and neighbors coming into the home to enjoy that. It was the entertainment center of the town. But eventually, that gentleman would pass away, and that piano remained in the living room, the dancing area, the eating area, and his nieces watched that piano, looked at that piano. I don't know how many times it was played. But there was a little lady who had cleaned around that piano in that home, and after those ladies passed away, she asked the last person in line, "Would you give that piano to our little congregation?" And it was agreed for $25. The Free Methodist Church on the corner of 10th and Pine Street, a little white frame building that when it was full, there were only 125 people. And that piano came in to the Free Methodist Church. And there, it was a treasured possession. It played so beautifully. And it was about 1948 that it came into the church. And there was a young lady, a teenager, by the name of Elda Mae Keller. And Elda Mae loved that piano, played that piano, learned how to play that piano beautifully. And she had a concert pianist teaching her how to play that Steinway piano. 1,500 pounds, 6 foot, or 8 foot, 6 inches long. And the concert pianist who taught her how to play said, "You ought to be a concert pianist as well." But she didn't have the time, the money, but she went off to school. And when she came back, there was a young man in that church, and that young man worked with her. And as he worked with her, he fell in love with her. But he went off to college. And that young lady said, "Wayne, if you find somebody your age," she was a bit older than he was, "you go ahead and you choose a woman that you find your own age." But when Wayne came back from college, oh, no way. I asked that Elda Mae Keller to become my wife. and we went to the altar together. As that piano played, brought her down the altar, and we repeated our vows, and we marched out the church. And from there, we went away to school. I went away to pastor in different congregations in Iowa. There were some 5 congregations. But Elda had some health problems. She struggled with these health problems in 1998. But it was in 2001 that we went back to the Burlington church, and Elda was at that piano board again. But something had happened. It had deteriorated. It was no longer that beautiful instrument. It could not sing like it did before. And so we decided that we must sell it. And as we sold it, we got something else. We hated to part with it. But Elda continued to play, continued to struggle with her health, had to go to the doctors, tried to be restored from the doctors. But finally, last year, in April, a couple of weeks after Resurrection Sunday, Elda went to be with her Maker. And I have missed Elda greatly. And it was Thanksgiving. It was Christmas time, and I missed her greatly. But I heard that that piano had been restored. That West Music up in Iowa City had tried to restore it, and they finally restored it, and they put it in the Capitol building, and there it played beautifully. I got to hear it. Oh, was it beautiful. Oh, was it lovely. And my heart said, Elda's gone back to her Creator. I'll see her one day, just like I saw that piano that had beautiful rosewood, and I rejoice over the fact that I'll see her again. Thank you.
We'll now take a minute for the judges. I'd now like to welcome our third contestant, Seth Braun. Seth's speech is, "Don't be afraid to follow your dream." Don't be afraid to follow your dream, Seth Braun.
Walking down a corridor. Smell of coffee and breakfast. It's getting darker. Opening the door. The clink of spoons and the clank of mugs. Total darkness. People chatting. In Icelandic. Am I dreaming? Ah! Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, you don't have to be afraid of following your dreams, even into total darkness, if you bring these with you. Action, confidence, courage, and vision. And this wasn't some strange dream. This was a dream come true. This was a discovery of destiny. It all started when my friend Brian Rocheleau, or Rosh, came to me as a client. Seth, I have this crazy dream. I want to do house concerts in Iceland. Intimate music venues. I've already done them in the States. I've done them in Norway. I've done them in Ireland. All I need is $10,000. Ah! I say cool. Spreadsheets, masterminding, pitches, strategies. And he is off and running in action. Produces the album, books the ticket, on his way to Iceland with persistent and consistent action in his back pocket. But not without haters. You know what I'm talking about. The people around you, the voices in your own head. You can't do it. It's not going to happen. You won't have enough money. You're going to fail. Well, fortunately, Rosh brought confidence along with him. Confidence from the Latin words con and fidelis, with faithfulness. And he was faithful to his dream. And he bolstered his faithfulness by speaking words and truth. And the words and truth became his experience. I can do this. I'm learning what I need to learn. I believe in myself. I can. I am. I believe. Hitchhiking along the rugged Icelandic volcanic landscape. Rosh brought that confidence into 2 great shows. Waiting for the ride to the 3rd show, Range Rover pulls up, he hops in, arrive at the church, the driver unlocks the door, gets back in the Toyota, and speeds off. 30 minutes before the show, he sets up alone. 15 minutes before, no host. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, no audience, 1 minute, no one. And it happens. The low, the fall, the ouch. All those voices came rushing back into his head like the wicked witch's monkey party from Oz, squawking and flapping their arms. See, we told you you couldn't do it. It's not going to happen. You're going to fail. You're going to lose money, and your little dog too. But fortunately, Rosh was packing courage, and he pulled it out of his pocket with a big sheet of paper, and he poured all of that emotion into questions. How can I create music that people want to connect with? How can I create deep experiences? How? How? And he poured all of his energy into a show in an empty church. Courage. What gave the cowardly lion a real heart? Courage. What gives a warrior valor in his battle cry? Courage. He laid down after the show on a pew, the saints watching over his slumber. A new day. The pre-Icelandic economy, strong. Record sales were good. And the next 2 weeks were all hot springs and cozy living rooms with fires, glasses of wine. Rosh rolled into Reykjavik on a sweet Sunday morning, hungry for breakfast. And he strolled into that blind cafe in the pitch black smell of cinnamon rolls and French roast, bumped into a chair, and found himself being pulled to his left, almost stumbling and finding a seat. What is this place? It's a blind cafe, said the blind waiter. What can I start you off with? And in that moment, in the total darkness in Iceland, a vision, an answer to the question, how can I connect with people deeply with my music? Fellow Toastmasters, don't be afraid to follow your dreams. Only you can be you. You have gifts no one else can give. Rosh followed his dreams with action and confidence and courage and vision. And now we have the beauty of the Blind Cafe. Music in the dark on tour across the country. In Aspen and Austin and Boulder and Burlington and Cincinnati and Denver and Portland and Seattle. Don't be afraid to follow your dreams. And if your dreams take you into darkness, that may be just the time when the lights go on, your destiny. Just make sure to bring with you action, consistent and persistent. Confidence, I can, I am, I believe. Courage, to turn those emotions and fear into fuel. And vision, to ask the questions and pay attention. Don't be afraid to follow your dreams. Madam Contest Chair. Go!
Thank you, Seth. Now we'll take take a minute for the judges? So while I'm looking at winners, I'd like to ask the speech contestants to come back up for a few short interviews. Just so everyone can get to know you a little bit better. Darlene, I'm curious, what do you actually sell?
I sell furniture, Amish handcrafted furniture, so beds, dining room sets, anything up in your home who needs some furniture.
Do you enjoy selling it? Maybe you could tell us some
Do I
highlights.
enjoy selling it? Ooh. Is this really being taped? I do enjoy the selling process. However, I'm in an office all day and I'm such a people person, so that's one of the down aspects of my work, is I'm really good with communicating with people, but I really like being face to face. And yeah, so I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, that gives me an idea. Okay. Seth, I noticed you like gardening. What do you normally like to grow? Do you grow fruits and flowers?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of annuals and perennials. So we have asparagus coming up, and rhubarb, and sunchokes, and gooseberries, and grapes coming up on their own. We have fruit trees, but they're not mature yet. But this year we're going to be planting, every year I think, okay, this year I'm going to plant a bunch of kale, and it's never enough. And then the next year I'm like, okay, I'm going to plant more kale, and it's still not enough. So this year we have like 50 seed starts of kale that's going to go all over our yard. And they're going to get like big mounds each. So those are going to be giant kale, I'm praying, giant kale like everywhere. And we're going to be eating large quantities of kale.
And Wayne, I noticed that you've done a lot of work with the youth and children's camps. I was wondering if you could tell us some of the highlights of that.
I was a pastor, and in this area, pastor of Free Methodist Church, there were about 15 or 16 congregations. One is still in Fairfield here. It has a different name. And I had the opportunity of conducting first children's camps right down here in Birmingham. I've had opportunity to have family camps up in Minnesota along the lake. And those are such great times for children to learn. It seems like they respond so much as they're out in nature, and we're able to feed them. And the only thing is sometimes the girls, when they have to deal with the mice and some of the bugs, they usually try to spray for those. But those are some great times, and many times, years afterward, I hear people say, I went to one of your camps, and I remember that. And they tended to be religious camps. A number of them said, well, we first came to love Jesus and know Jesus at our camp. So that's some of the reasons that I especially have enjoyed camping.
Right on.
Much more time?
Whatever.
I think we're just about.
Well, they're not back. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, they're not back yet.
No, no,
Okay.
keep going. Keep
Right,
going.
we'll do one more. Okay. So, Darlene, I've heard you say at times that you don't particularly like the climate here. So where would you rather be?
I'd rather be in California.
Yeah.
I am from the East Coast, that's where I was born and raised, and I lived in California for 14 years, various parts. I lived in Northern California, Southern California, Central California, very beautiful places. And I have had some difficulty adjusting to Fairfield, Iowa. The community is great. The people are great. I really love coming to this Toastmasters group. But I do miss the warmer weather, yes, and having access to the ocean, being very close to the ocean and nature. So yeah, it's been a little frigid. This week I got up, it was like 12 degrees, 13 degrees, like whoa.
Yeah, we don't have any nature here.
Well, I kind of get the cornfields, they only do it for me for so long, so.
Oceans, there's oceans of cornfields.
Yeah, there are oceans of cornfields.
Okay, thanks. Seth, I think we put down music, and I think what's the main avenue of music that you like doing? Is it drumming or what sort of music?
I have been playing music more lately. I've been playing with a drummer in town named Greg Holland, great guy. I'm playing a couple days a week, putting together some songs. We will be playing out at some point as well, so we're going to start playing out and expressing some of those gifts. I have a degree in music, so mostly my thing is songwriting. I mean, the number one thing that I like to do is write songs, and that translates well into speech writing because there's a lot of similarities in terms of organization and structure. And so I do play guitar, that's my main instrument, but I've been teaching myself piano because I think it's more conducive to being a songwriter.
You should think about playing in the dark.
Yeah. It's a novel concept. Never work.
Wayne, I noticed you're into photography. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I'm not a great photographer.
And handwriting analysis, that's interesting.
Well, maybe I'll tell you about handwriting analysis. I don't do that much of it. But people's cursive writing tells a lot about them. And you can tell whether they're generous, whether they're stingy, whether they're critical, whether they're easy to get along with, hard to get along with, just by, I'm not that an expert, but it's been a kind of a hobby to look at handwritings and tell about people. And when you have people write in cursive and you tell things about it, how did you know about that? You know? So that's what I enjoy.
Thank you. That's very interesting. I might just see how the judges are going.
They'll come in when they're
They'll
done.
come in. All right, well,
Get back
we'll
going.
This is, just think of this as progressive table talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Ongoing. So, Darlene, I enjoyed your speech about that book that you just read about relationships. Are there any other books that you really think of as things you have to have in your bookcase?
Yes, another book that's had a huge impact on me is books that have been written around about the Enneagram, your personality typology. I studied mostly with Don Riso, and that's 9 different personality types. And we each have one, and then we have a wing on either side. And it's learning about your shadow, about, you know, there's steps that we each have to take if we want to evolve. One can become awakened, but you still have your personality aspects that are there. And if you don't work through those things, they still cause problems along the way. You know, how you relate to others, how you get along, how well you know yourself. So that has been, it's helped me to understand myself better, my husband better, my relationship with others better. So I highly recommend, that's a big book for me.
Nice.
Yo!
Whoa.
Yes. And Seth, do you have a book that has really inspired you?
Well, I think, you know, I hear Darlene talking, I think, you should move to Boulder.
I'm from California.
Yeah, there are certainly a lot of books, but I'm going to go to Darlene's house and peruse her bookshelf, I think. It sounds like she's got some pretty good books.
And what about you, Ray?
What book have I read recently?
Recently that's inspired you?
Enjoy. I do different kind of reading, but I'm not coming up with one right now. Okay.
That's okay. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the photography. What sort of photos
Well,
you take?
I tend to take photography of my family, our family events, whether Thanksgiving when we get together, and when I was in camp, I took pictures of the campers, and it was clear back in the day when slide film was in, and I put together a slide presentation with music and such as that, and we sent that around churches, and it encouraged kids, those who saw themselves in the camp experience, and others to join in the camp because they saw all the fun and all the things that were going on. And one of the first ones was clear back in Star Wars. I mean, if you can remember that, clear back there, that I had some of the Star Wars music in the background, and kids, oh, really?
Sounds like you really made the photos come alive.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're still waiting?
Looks like, I don't know.
Must be a tough decision.
Here, Wayne can evaluate my handwriting.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Oh, actually, I think I see a movement.
He's coming now.
Oh, you.
Here's a critical person. Here's a person that in control of his emotions, and he's firm in some of his, this is the way it's going to be.
Sit down here.
I've read that book 5 times. No, you told me that.
Okay, now for the exciting news.
Yo!
Winners of our contest. So we had 2 contestants with terrible topics. So obviously we have 2 places. The person who came second was Sam Cregan, and the person who came first was Rahul Butts.
He's got a trophy.
Oh, okay.
And he was just table time. Thank you.
And I'll give them okay, and I might mention that if for some reason Rahul can't compete at the next level of the competition, that Sam will have to take his place.
All right, Sam.
Yo!
Okay, and with the international speech contest, I have to mention that we did have 1 disqualification. So the person who came second in the international speech contest was Darlene Martin. Okay, and so the winner of the international speech contest is Seth Braun.
Yo!
I just want to say thanks to everybody for creating this contest and supporting this, because it really forces me to improve as a speaker and do things that I normally wouldn't do, and that's what I've really gotten clear now. It's not about winning anything, it's about I'm in this for the long term to grow as a speaker and to develop my skills, and this really puts me on the spot to say, okay dude, you gotta take it up the next level and really organize. And so for my professional career, this is really helpful. So thanks everyone for creating this space and putting the energy into this contest. Yo!
I'd like to thank everyone for making today such a success. I want to thank all of the contestants for giving us a great effort today and for their wonderful speeches. And there are some important people I would like to thank. I would like to thank our ballot counters. That's Rhonda and Cindy. Our Sergeant at Arms, Rhonda Whittaker. Our chief timer was Marianne Murray. Assistant timer Cindy Trainer. Our chief judge Don Wadley. And our judges today, who Todd Oatkin.
God's not here.
Oh,
I didn't.
sorry. Fred Hausch. Scott Terry. Tom Morris. Will Burns. And Bert Schakowsky. And I'd also like to thank Rhonda for helping encourage everyone to bring all the refreshments. For
Yeah, Rhonda.
Hooray, Rhonda!
And I hope that you'll all come along to the next level of this competition,
Which is
which is
1 month from today
1 month from today
in Muscatine,
in Muscatine.
the library.
Muscatine,
We know the date.
Yeah, the 20th.
April 20th.
4 weeks from today.
home of the Muscatine melons.
April
Yes.
20th. So I hope you'll all be able to come along to that and to help support our winners today. So with that, I'd like to thank you for coming, and please stay for some refreshments afterwards.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.